Oh hi, thanks for watching my video. So, The Sims 4 was released in September 2014, and despite high hopes from The Sims' great reputation, Simmers were initially disappointed. The Sims 4 base game was missing a lot of features that were previously included in the base game of earlier Sims releases. In this video, I want to look at all of the things that have been added to base game since it was released and talk about whether base game is enough now to be considered an engaging game on its own merit without the need for DLC. Of course, this is all just my opinion, but you know me, I'm a reasonable person. So, when The Sims 4 came out, you had a very stimulating loading screen and world map view. When you hop in to create a sim, you'll notice that your sim's faces and bodies are more malleable than ever before. You can just click and drag to modify their features. There were some limitations when it comes to colouring, as skin, eye and hair colour had to be selected from a limited amount of swatches. Sims can have one aspiration and 3 traits. The amount of traits on offer were significantly less than what was offered in The Sims 3. You could set Sims' walk styles for the first time and determine their relationships, provided they are immediate family. You couldn't set someone as a boyfriend, cousin or aunt, for example, but you could do spouses, parents and siblings. Build and buy was easy to use and arguably better than before, despite the lack of terrain tools at the time. Sims could get jobs and will disappear whenever they leave the lot, unless you're going with them, in which case you'd be met with a loading screen. Sims now have emotions and therefore will behave in certain ways based on how they're feeling. If your sim has a family, they'll go through 3 days of pregnancy without the need for maternity wear, and their baby would act as an object. After 3 days, the baby would age into a child, then a teen, and so on. I appreciate that that's a very high level overview, but if I go into every feature, we'll be here for hours, and no one wants that. So let's look at a timeline of base game updates to see how the game changed from when it was released. In October 2014, 1 month after the game's release, ghosts were introduced to the game. Before then, when a sim died, they just died, man. They just died. Ghosts had previously been included in the release of earlier games, so this one wasn't a surprise. The following month in November, we got pools added to base game, another thing that had always been previously included at release. I think ghosts and pools were always meant to be included at release, but the game was pushed out before it was ready, and that's why these things came a couple of months after. Then, just 1 month after that, in December, we had a few more things added to the game. We had the business and athletic career, paid time off and family leave, plus the move objects cheat was added. Then in March of 2015, the main menu was redesigned and a few changes were made to build and buy. You could now build basements up to 2 levels down, and another level was added above ground, bringing the total amount of floors to 6. There was also a notebook added to record all of your Sims' fishing and gardening discoveries. In June 2015, the world of Newcrest was introduced, offering 15 empty lots to build on. The custom room tool and the welcome wagon event was added too. The following month, we had half walls, gender-specific bathroom doors and lock doors. Then in December 2015, the lot type of pool was introduced, even though pools at this point had been added over a year before then. In February 2016, we had the gardener NPC added to the base game and the kleptomaniac trait. Later that year in June, Create a Sim was amended so that all items would be available to all Sims in their age category, regardless of gender. So you could choose if you wanted your Sim to wear feminine or masculine clothes. Not only that, but there was now the ability to customize your Sim's gender, so you could have a masculine female Sim and a feminine male Sim, which would change their body type. Then in October 2016, we were given the ability to duplicate things in build and buy, and we got a few new lot traits as well. In January of 2017, the main menu was redesigned again, and toddlers were finally introduced after only 2 years. And yes, toddlers were previously included in base game at release of the earlier games, excluding The Sims 1. Then, way later in that year, November to be exact, the photography skill was added to base game, despite it being a feature that had previously been paid for in the Get to Work expansion pack. There were also a few new roof customization options added. A few new skin tones were added in February 2018, and in June there were 2 new outfit categories, hot weather and cold weather, in preparation for the release of the Seasons expansion pack. Toddlers were given the swimwear outfit category, which they previously didn't have. Even though they were over 2 years late, they still weren't finished. Gardening also got a bit of a refresh as well in this patch. In November 2018, we were given the first-person camera, which, in fairness, is very good. We also got the careers of style influencer and self-employed. The freelancer career was later introduced in a patch in April 2019. In June of that year, we had a fishing update, stilt foundations, a few more door colour swatches, and a part-time job for adults. The following month, the main menu was redesigned again, and Create a Sim got another revamp. This time, Story Mode was introduced, which is where you'd be asked a series of questions to determine what sort of personality your sim will have, which determines their aspirations and traits, plus their household funds. Then in September we had a small update to stairs, so we could now move them around and have them facing different directions, and multi-story columns were introduced the following month. Then in June of 2020 we had a few new things added. The firefighter and repo person NPCs were brought back, free placement of doors and windows, and ladders were introduced, as well as bills information. In November 2020 we got the platform tool in preparation for the Snowy Escape pack, which contained builds with many platforms. We also got sim profiles and sentiments. I don't know about you, but these were things that I was really glad to have. I'm not much of a builder, so many of the things included in previous updates weren't really that game-changing for me, but the sim profiles and sentiments actually added value to my gameplay, and I was pleasantly surprised with this one. In December of 2020, the main menu got, you guessed it, another redesign. We also got sliders for makeup and over 100 new skin tones. March 2021 saw the return of bunk beds, an object that simmers had been asking for years, along with some updated hair designs. In May, we got likes and dislikes in preparation for the Dream Home Decorator pack and some new hair colours. In July, we got the pond tool, which went nicely with the cottage living expansion pack, and the food delivery service got an overhaul, with more food types added and the ability to order groceries. The calendar that was previously paid for in the Seasons expansion pack was now added to base game in this patch as well. Oh, and also group cooking, so multiple sims could cook at the same time. Then in September, to go along with the Spa Day update, we were given a selection of nail polish sets for fingernails and toenails. And later on that month, we got a few new outfits and hairstyles, plus over 1,000 objects in the Build and Buy catalogue received a lot of new colour swatches. So, those are all the things that were added to base game since its release. But is it enough now? If you're a builder, then sure, it might be enough. There are times where it really seems this game is more tailored to builders anyway, and the building in The Sims 4 is generally better than the previous games. The base game at the time of release had building that was, in my opinion, still better than the previous games, and as time's gone on, it's only got better. For example, the patches that added the customizable stairways, the placeable rooms, the platforms, more levels to build on, they all added value to something that already had a reasonably solid foundation. That foundation being the already pretty good functionality in base game at launch, and in my opinion, that's where the value to gameplay ends. In terms of the Sims themselves, I still don't think it's enough. One of the key selling points of The Sims was how smart they are. They're emotional and they multitask. Great! Except they aren't, and they don't. The emotion system could have been a great feature, but seeing as emotions are so easily influenced, for example, a sim who is sad from their partner cheating might suddenly become inspired from looking at a painting. I've seen entire sim families torn apart, only for them to go from sad to happy because of their well-decorated surroundings. Sims also really don't multitask. If your sim is cooking a meal whilst having a conversation, guess what? It takes 3 times as long to finish cooking because your sim stops what they're doing to talk to another sim. So unless my sim is talking whilst mixing a bowl, they aren't really multitasking, are they? Considering they were supposed to be key features at release, I'm surprised there wasn't anything added to these during the updates. Sims also have whims in place of wants and fears, but you may as well just disable them because they haven't been updated since Get Famous came out. In terms of gameplay, we've had a fair bit added that were previously in other games, so the fact that we now have pools, ghosts, toddlers, repo people and firefighters in base game is great. But there are still things that were missing, like cars, meaningful memories, wants and fears, burglars and grocery stores. So based purely on what was included in earlier games compared to The Sims 4, I can't really say that there is enough in base game today for it to be considered as good as the previous games. What would it take to make The Sims 4 base game enough? In my opinion. Well, I think it would need a good revamp to the emotion system. I personally think there are some emotions we don't need, and I think it would be good if Sims emotions weren't swayed so easily by objects or little things in the game. If Sims could actually multitask, that would be great. Adding the rest of the missing things from previous games would also improve the game significantly, although I don't know how easy that would be at this point. Personally, I think if the Sims team worked on cars, babies, memories and lore, it would be enough to substantially improve The Sims 4. Base game still has very little storytelling. There is some talk about some of the characters getting a revamp and having a little more added to the stories, but as of yet this hasn't happened. And in terms of pre-made Sims, we have a selection of townies that have family bios, but no ties to any of their neighbours. So in base game there isn't anything in terms of lore. If the Sims team really are working on this, then again, this would make the base game more appealing. Overall, I think the Sims 4 base game has a lot to be desired. That doesn't mean it's not a good game, and it's good to see that the Sims team have been working on trying to improve it. I personally wouldn't play The Sims 4 if it wasn't for the DLC, because I think there's still a lot of room for improvement when it comes to base game. But I really don't know if anything is going to change, considering we don't know when The Sims 5 is coming out. So for all we know, it might not even be worth making any significant changes now. I'd love to know what you think about this in the comments. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.